And we're back, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Seven Figures or Bust podcast. Episode 84, the number one podcast in the world for growing your insurance business. And we are at the end of the week. We're on a Thursday. Special announcement to start the show today. Next week, Glenn and I will be off. The show will be off for the entirety of the week. So for those of you that might be wondering, this is the week of the 7th, April 7th. There will be no Seven Figures or Bust podcast shows for the entire week.
And we might not come back.
We
might just leave and never come back. Okay.
It's always a possibility. You might want to watch for the following Monday to see for sure. Good morning, good sir.
Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
So, last show of the week, I thought we'd start off with talking a little bit about, agents ask all the time about like, what tools should I be using?
Yes.
In my bag, in my bag, if you will, not a literal bag, but what tools should I be using? What are some of the first things that come to mind when you get that question from someone?
Great question, and get this one all the time. If you're a brand new agent, you come in, you just have your cell phone, you just have your leads, you have a paper calendar. I just did a webinar or had a Zoom call with an agency in the last couple of weeks, and there was a gal on the call, and she's like, "Well, how are you gonna know my schedule? Like how would lead heroes know my calendar, my schedule?" And was just perplexed by this idea of sharing a calendar that could be automatically updated, like
a digital calendar.
It feels like I'm going back to like explaining. So the internet, it's a network of computers, we're all online together. It's like, so, there's
dial up.
Really, we're in the phone line. So, there's some really good tools, basic tools that, I think a great way to approach this topic is like, assume someone has no tools, like this person I was talking to. So something like some type of digital online calendar is a must. You have to have some type of online digital calendar, something that you can, even if it's just for yourself, even if you're just using it for yourself, let alone sharing it with someone else, like an appointment setter or an admin assistant, or if you do have, a tool like Calendly or Acuity, where you can actually embed them on a website or share links through email to people, say, hey, select the time that's best for you. How much time is wasted going back and forth? What's next Tuesday look like? Oh, I don't know. Well, what's next Thursday look like?
Well, let me take a look.
Yeah.
Thursday at 2 is a little busy.
Yeah.
Well,
that's my first one is a calendar.
I can't even fathom in 2025 still carrying around a physical calendar or like planner or anything like that. I just don't understand it. I tried doing it in the early years of my career, and I could never stick to it. It was a lot of writing, and I was like, why am I doing this? Like, I got to a point where after maybe even like a month or two, I'm like, why am I doing this? I'm like, what is, because I had a digital calendar, of course, right? It was still 2014, 15 timeframe. I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this to myself? It's just wild to me that 2025, that is such a foreign concept to some people.
Yeah, that was one that I actually picked up pretty fast because I was working with appointment setters.
Right.
So initially, though, I was a pen and paper person. I was that guy. I was setting appointments on the phone. Writing it down. I wasn't even writing it down in a calendar.
Wow.
It was just like I remember it was just like a notepad. And I would try to do a little pre-qualifying. So I'd just be like, I'm trying to I'm so focused on setting the appointment and like selling myself, taking the notes at the same time. Again, man, this makes me feel like I'm 90 years old, by the way, with the way technology is now, where you can like record your call and then AI will like spit out like a summarized note transcript of record. You don't even have to like think about taking notes anymore. It's crazy, but
Yeah.
I'm like take notes of like health conditions while I'm setting the appointment. I'm like trying to write this all down. But then I jumped into the digital calendar world pretty fast, and I never looked back.
Yeah. I mean, for the vast majority of my career, after I would use the digital calendar, and when I was making appointments, that's how I'd do it. I'd be taking notes and things like that, but I'd be taking the notes in the digital calendar. Synchronized with my phone, right? So I could look at my phone when I'm out and about and things like that. Nowadays, a lot of our staff members have like links to scheduling links for my calendar. We have an executive assistant that handles my calendar. I look at my calendar each day about what I have to do, but I don't touch it out of it. It's become so automated. It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. And I know yours is exactly the same way.
For sure. And if it's not on my calendar, I'm probably missing it. That's the other thing too. That I've just gotten to the point where I'm so focused on, what's in front of me, going, just like down right in a row, down the hours on the calendar. So it's like, I'll tell people that too. Hey, you were supposed to call me. Why didn't you call me? Like you weren't on my calendar.
It wasn't on my calendar.
Sorry.
Like,
yeah,
what on my schedule, bruh?
I don't know what's going on. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Okay. So calendar is a big one. Yeah. What else? So one that comes to mind for me.
Yeah.
A CRM.
For sure. Which is, connected to the calendar sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, so I remember you and I did I think it was a Taco Tuesday years ago about CRMs. And I took the stance at that time. I can't remember what year this was. It might've been like 2021 or something like that, a long time ago.
Ooh.
I took the stance that you don't need a CRM to get started. And if you remember, I was a little agitated by all the people that spend 6 months looking at 25 different CRMs. And you know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm like, the best CRM is the one that you use. I believe that, but
for sure,
I think my stance has changed to where back then I said you don't need a CRM to get started. And I didn't have a CRM when I got started. But I think in today's age, I think you have to have a CRM to get started. It doesn't have to be any particular CRM, but a CRM that allows you to store, house data, do automations, those kind of things. I think in 2025, I think you absolutely positively have to have a CRM.
I mean, your end goal, if you want to grow, right? If you want to grow as an agency, as an agent, as a business owner, it is going to be significantly more difficult to grow if you are trying to track everything manually, which I guarantee you there's still a chunk of agents out there who are probably 95% manual. Paper, they got filing cabinets, they're not using a CRM, which is just mind-numbing to me at this point, where there's so many options and so many simple options too, simple CRMs. And I do think.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I do think that the agent that utilizes a CRM is typically a leg up. Like they're doing better, they're closing more deals, their follow-ups better, their clients are happier. The
more
lead
organized.
Conversion's better. Yeah, it's just across the board. I think it's critical. You have to, like you're saying.
I think about us, right? Like we have a supply room that has file cabinets in it with apps in it. And every time I walk in there, I'm like, why do we have these?
Burn it.
What is the purpose of these? All the apps, I believe, are in the CRM. I'm like, what the fuck is the purpose of this? But we have them. We don't open them. We don't use them. They just sit there and take up precious space. in the supply room. But no, yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. I do remember the days before I did have a CRM when I needed, let's say I was talking to a client on the phone and I needed to like remember what policy they had or what was on their app or something like that. I would get up with my headset on. I'd walk into that room. I'd pop open a file cabinet and I'd be delving through the files looking for Sarah Johnson's policy. I think we actually do have a Sarah Johnson. That's not, I'm just throwing out a name, but
whoa.
Sorry, Sarah.
That's a HIPAA violation, but go ahead.
And I'm pulling out their app. I'm like, oh yes, I have it. I see that you you know. And
yeah.
I just can't believe I ever operated that way. I really can't. Like, you know what I mean? Compared to how we do things now.
So again, I had a folder, just like a basic, you know, like I've got one right, just like a basic folder like this, you know, just like a 2-page folder, and I'd have my direct mail leads in it. And if I sold someone or if I had an appointment with someone, those leads were on this side, and all my leads that I hadn't contacted yet, or, you know, they told me no, or people that I could door knock were on this side. And that was, for a while, this was my CRM system. When I was a brand new agent, this was my CRM system, which is, again, very hard to believe looking back 12, 13 years ago. It's crazy.
Digital calendar, CRM, probably Connecture, Sunfire, CSG Actuarial, these online quoting
quoting tools. Yeah. Again,
gotta
paper. Those. I quoted with paper. I got trained to quote. You know, it was a packet. I just saw it the other day. I was going through. I have a huge box of my own old applications. I'm looking at right now too. Just this gigantic box I've been hauling around. But again, for those of you who are newer agents, I feel like I'm trying to explain like cave paintings to you. But it used to be a stack of papers. It's a grid, you know, female, and then it's like ages on this side, coverage amounts on that axis, right? And then you're going like, okay, 10,000 Mrs. Jones, you're 72. Oh no, you're a smoker. I got to get to tobacco rates. They're on the back of this packet. What a mess. What a clunky mess. Just a waste of time. And how silly you looked sitting there in the appointment, flipping through a paper packet to try to quote someone their policy was just wild. What was that similar? Did you get a paper packet for like MedSup? Mm-hmm. Is that so? You were a paper packet kid too.
I had a black duffel bag type thing with a strap that would go over my shoulder that weighed 100,000 pounds. I probably have shoulder problems because of it to this day.
Yeah.
And I'd have every enrollment guide in there, every app in there for every plan. And it was huge. It was ridiculous. Yeah. And of course, you know, they have the more popular plans, you know, that I'm like, okay, I might go through this enrollment guide. I need 2 or 3 of those in there because I might sell all 3 of them today.
Yep.
You know,
that's what you tell yourself. Like, I'm going to go through 10 of these apps today.
A lot of times I would on the popular plans because, like, you know, probably 75 to 80% of the apps I was selling out in the field were the same 2 or 3 plans.
I remember. Yeah, go ahead.
But I also had a backup box in my trunk of every app.
This is kind of where I'm going to. Oh yeah, this is very. So there was this one agent, legendary. He had a printer hooked up in his car, and I remember thinking like, this dude was next. A printer in his car. Because you know, the worst part was, and I had this happen before where I just didn't have the paper app. Right. I just didn't have the app that I needed, and I had to come back, or I had to go figure out a way to print it. One time, I think I did end up going to like a Kinko's, and I like printed the app and came back because I didn't have the app, or I ran out of those apps. But this one agent, I remember he hooked up a printer in the back of his car so he could print whatever he needed at any time. I'm like, that's genius. He's like, it's a mobile office. I have a mobile office. It's like, oh, wow. The trunk works too, though. If you got a storage unit in your trunk, that works too, right?
Yeah, I wasn't as sophisticated to have a printer hooked up to my car. When I started, I think I had a 2000 silver Nissan Altima that sounded like it was about to explode every time it started.
You're Flintstoning it between. You're just like, I got to get it started with my feet. I got to get it started.
And like at the time, it was a bit, because that was my second car I ever had. My first car was a 1996 dark green Honda Civic, and that car, the engine blew up, so I had to get rid of it. And so I got
so hard on cars.
And so I was like, this was like a nicer car. So to me, it was like actually a nice car, even though it was a piece of shit. I didn't know it at the time. So I'd be like driving to people's houses. I'm like, yeah, parking in front of the house. I'm like, I'm successful.
I made it.
And it's like, you know,
Can't you tell? Can't you tell?
The paint is like wearing and everything. And I drove that thing all over the state of Utah. There's not a city in Utah, the whole state, that I didn't drive that car to at some point.
I drove, I think it was a 91. It was a 91 or 92 Toyota Camry. It had just about 200,000 miles on it.
Ooh.
That thing was coming apart at the seams. It was so embarrassing that sometimes I would park in front of a neighbor's house and then go knock on my appointment's door because I was so embarrassed by that vehicle, to be honest.
I was living in an apartment. That reminds me, I was living in an apartment I know this is off topic, but I was living in an apartment for a while in the early years. And the apartment had like parking stalls outside, you know, so, you know, and that sucked. Oh my God. Like, the winter, that. You know, frost on your car. Anyway, I hated every second of it. I was working so hard because I wanted to get out of there. Anyway, it has like these bars, right? Like these like poles with the parking stall. And I backed up wrong, and I was like half asleep. It was like early in the morning. It was like 7 a.m. I was trying to get to an appointment like that was 8 a.m. or something. And I smashed my rear view mirror off on the side. I just went flying back. And it was just hanging there. It was just hanging there.
Your side mirror. Yeah.
And it was like that for like a week. And I was like parking around the corner, you know, people's houses, and like, you know, walking over, and people were like, where's your car? Like after I'd like get done in the house, I'd be like, oh, you know, just over that way, you know, just better head
Don't worry about it. I walked here. Don't worry. Don't worry about it.
Need the exercise.
Yeah. I was just down the street. No big deal.
There was no parking spots when I got here. In front of my house? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got calendar, quoting, CRM, and the quoting tools. It's amazing how simple they are now. You know, you just plug in five data points usually. You know, zip code, smoker, non-smoker, age, you know, plan type. You know, Medicare Advantage, Medicare supplement, final expense, whatever it is. I mean, it spits out that quote so fast, and you can just plug in all your carriers. Oh, I'm not with these carriers. I'm with these carriers, like crazy. Yeah. You guys are spoiled. You're spoiled.
100%.
What's another one?
You probably need a professional email.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I would die on this hill. I die inside when you guys email me, and it's from sometimes it's just like a string of letters. Sometimes you guys try to be clever, and it's like IllinoisMedicare@gmail.com. It's like I literally die inside when you can't, like, it's so easy to get a professional email. I understand you do have to set it up. It might take you, hire someone, find someone to do it for you. It takes all of an hour, a couple hours, set it up and move on.
Admittedly, right? Like obviously we all have our company emails now, but pre-merger, my whole company was using
X Mission.
There's a Utah technology company called X Mission. If anyone ever got an email from me or someone from my office back in the day, and you're like, what the hell's X Mission? People would think like, is that your company, X Mission? I'd be like, no. So, because not your typical a domain that you're typically going to see at the end of an email. Our emails were like Christian@xmission.com and so at xmission.com, because that was the name of this company that hosted our emails. And yeah, no, I waited a decade basically to move away from that.
Though, I will say though, that's a lot better than a Gmail or a Yahoo. You were a step above, I would say, the doing an average Joe like an AOL or
partychick 1990 at gmail.com at yahoo.com.
Yeah.
Party chick.
and then sometimes I'm like, that must just be their personal email, or this is just what they're using to communicate, with the marketing, but surely they're not. And then I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, nope, this is it. This is the email. Like they're communicating with their own clients with the same email, which is so silly. So, what goes hand in hand with that one, in my opinion, is, and this one kills me too, is I've seen some people just use like their Facebook page. They don't have a website. So they're just like, hey, here's my Facebook, or here's my LinkedIn. I've seen that. That's another one I've seen many times. Again,
probably need a website.
Yeah, set up a website. It could be a 2-3 page website. You can type it up. Again, pay someone to do it for you. It's not hard and it's not expensive. It's pretty easy.
The days of paying someone like $10,000 to $20,000 to build your website, they're probably over.
Unless you're building out like some software into the web, like some serious software into the website.
As recently as 5 or 6 years ago, there were people in our space charging agents $20,000 for a basic mediocre insurance agent website.
I know. Here's a fun fact for you. Do you know that Lead Heroes launched website building and it was a total flop?
How many projects were you doing? every day you're like, yeah, we went down this road.
We flopped. I got into this space because I thought I could undercut everybody on price because of exactly what you just said, right?
Right.
I'm sitting thinking, I think we were trying to charge like $1,000, maybe 2,000. It was like $1,000 to $2,000. Because I saw some of these bigger price points, people charging $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000, $20,000, like you said, that was happening. So I pushed it pretty hard for a few weeks. Nothing. I think we may have built one website. And once after like a month of trying to market it, when it got no traction, like at all, I was like, nope. I was like, not doing this.
How long ago was that?
2017, 2018. It was a while ago. Yeah.
Wow.
He's a Lead Heroes history.
You've dipped your toes into all kinds of things.
I'm just taste testing, just seeing what's going on. What's the temperature here? Just taking a little peek.
Is the water nice? Dip a toe.
Yeah. Oh, it's too cold. I'm going to a different pool. I'm going to a different pool. Oh my gosh!
I think this is a pretty
good list. Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
I mean, we could probably do the rest of the episode on this in particular, but I think this, like, if you wanted to talk about like a basic list, this is probably your basic list. There's probably other things you probably need as well, but I think this is a good starting point. I feel like. Yeah. I think that's a good one for sure.
A dialer or some type of online phone system. But again, that's not even necessarily something like everything else we talked about. Right. You could use just your cell phone. You could get an app that gives you a business number on your cell phone without getting crazy. Yeah, but that's the next one I would say, is some type of dialer or some type of voice over internet, like Ring Central, something that helps, either have staff answer it or customer service support, help you with the phones, So that would probably be my next one. But yeah, I think this was actually a pretty good list.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's pivot into the sponsor of this episode today, shall we?
We shall.
Who is our sponsor for episode 84?
And I kept trying to come up with a sports player for 84. Tony Gonzalez, the Chiefs tight end. Tony Gonzalez, was he 84?
I don't know his number, but I can tell you with certainty that Randy Moss was 84 in Minnesota. For the Vikes.
Wow. Hey, guys, take a moment if you're listening and just give an air clap for Christian. Okay, he needs it.
Randy Moss was also 81 and for the Patriots. Whatever.
Well, then
whatever. Who's keeping track? And so was Calvin Johnson, 81 for the Lions. There's a lot of 81s.
Oh, Tony Gonzalez was 88. I'm sorry, you guys. I let you down. I let Christian somehow beat me on a sports football question. That's disappointing. Guys, today's episode of the 7 Figures or Bust podcast is brought to you by Hire Heroes. If you are looking for a vetted virtual assistant, someone who can come in who already has a baseline understanding of how they can help you with no revenue generating activities or low revenue generating activities like data entry, like answering the phones, all these tools that we covered earlier in this episode are a great example of tools that a virtual assistant can actually utilize to help grow your business without you necessarily even having to use some of these tools, like a calendar system, like a CRM. You need these tools. You need these to help your business stay organized and to be able to grow, but you might not have the time to spend to be truly proficient at all of these tools. And that's where a virtual assistant can really come in and help grow your business. Again, as an agent myself, working with appointment setters, working with virtual assistants for years, it is a game changer when you can get your time back and have a vetted virtual assistant within typically 2 to 3 business days of you requesting help from one of our virtual assistants, getting them placed in there and off to the races where they can help you with all of these different tasks that you need help with. So do not wait. Do not sleep on this. Head over to hireheroes.com right now. It's a 2-minute questionnaire where we just ask you what sort of tasks you're looking for help with, what sort of software or tools that you're working with. And then we go to our pool of vetted virtual assistants and figure out who is going to be the best fit for you. We play matchmaker, and then we get you on a quick 15-minute meet or greet call so you can meet them, make sure that this seems like a good fit. And then that's it. It's that easy. You're done. Boom. Like a snap of your finger. So head over to hireheroes.com, hireheroes.com.
Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. The moment you've all been waiting for. Let's shift gears into the main topic of this episode today. And that is the truth about insurance MLMs.
Bum, bum, bum.
We've talked about MLMs on the show a couple of different times in kind of in passing this year. But we never really dedicated a lot of time to kind of talking about them a little bit. Both of us have experience in MLMs. Where should we start with this one? Where should we start?
Maybe we start with non-insurance MLMs and then back our way into MLMs, like insurance MLMs. What do you think?
Yeah, I like that. So okay. The MLMs that you were in.
Yeah.
And then the MLMs I was in. Let's talk about them. Is it still around? How did you get in? How did you get introduced to the business?
Well, I've been insanely successful because of the MLM I signed up for many years ago. It's how I got where I got to today. And the funny part is I was so fixated on the money I spent on this MLM, because most of these MLMs you have to spend money to sign up, right? If you don't know what an MLM is, it stands for multi-level marketing. So multi-level marketing, think of a pyramid, right? Pyramid scheme, multi-level marketing. You've got the one person on top. They say, hey, we'd love for you to sell our product, but you need to pay us a distributor fee. And then once you are paying us, and maybe that distributor fee, maybe that's a one-time payment, maybe that's a reoccurring payment every month, every year, however it's set up. This also reminds me of that documentary that we watched. The what was that clothing brand? The Mormon Utah.
The leggings.
LuLaRoe?
Yeah.
I think it's LuLaRoe.
LuLaRoe.
Yeah, that's a great wild documentary on.
I loved every second of
it. Yeah, that was a fantastic one. And I think, again, great example of a business that I think is still around today. Another one that I heard a while back, I'll just mention really quickly, is where, and I actually think I got this in the mail once. I wish I still had it. But it was like, I got a dollar bill in the mail, and it says, here's $1. Now send $6, take $1 and send it to people. Like, it was literally a pyramid scheme designed where you'd get $1 and then they want you to send $6, like you're passing it forward. It was this really weird, again, a really weird pyramid scheme. And then it's like, and then once you send those $6, those people will send you $1 back. Like, just wild. So there's a huge spectrum. My point here is there's a huge spectrum of these MLM, multi-level marketing opportunities. Some of them look very legitimate on the front. Some of them look like a scam on the front. And sometimes it's hard to tell. So the first one that I got into was called Life Vantage.
Yeah.
And they sold. Yeah. Are you familiar with them?
My wife's grandma was in that. She tried to recruit me. So funny story about that. It was my first AEP, I want to say.
Yes.
And so she basically bait and switched me. She invited me to her house during AEP on a Saturday night to talk to her about her Medicare plan. And her real intention was she had her uplines there waiting to pitch me. I was so mad. I never forgave her. I never let it go. I still am bitter about it to this day because during AEP, you're wasting my time during AEP.
By the way, have you had that happen on other? Because I've had multiple insurance appointments where I showed up and they took the insurance appointment because they wanted to pitch me their MLM.
Mm-hmm. I haven't had it happen a ton. You'd think it would happen more living in Utah, but it has probably only happened like one other time other than that.
Yeah. I just remembered having that bait and switch, but your own grandma, Life Vantage. So did you sign up?
Not my grandma.
Oh, not your
wife's grandma.
Your wife's
my
grandma.
wife's
okay.
grandma. No,
like, my grandma would never do that to me.
My grandma was alive at the time, but
God bless.
But no, I did not sign up. I had no interest in signing up.
Do you remember their pitch?
No, I just remember being mad. Sitting on the couch trying to get through it and trying to be polite.
I just remember being mad.
Because totally lied to me. It was like classic MLM, what you see like in a cartoon or something, want to hang out? Yeah. They lock the door behind you. Welcome to the opportunity. That's basically like what it was. Life Vantage, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know if they still are, but they were the sponsor of Real Salt Lake soccer team.
Oh,
Life Vantage was on their jerseys for like 10 years or something like that. I don't know if they still are.
This episode of the 7 Figures or Bust podcast is brought to you by the 7 Figure University. 7figureuniversity.com is a culmination of Christian Brindle's and mine's educational videos that we have developed over the past 2 decades of combined experience in the senior insurance space. There's more than 250 videos, hundreds of hours of content that can help you become a top producer or a top producing agency in the senior insurance space. We're talking about videos of how to work with specific carriers, how to do different types of marketing, such as seminars or Facebook advertising, how to generate content in the niche to help grow your business, how to grow an agency, all sorts of things. There's so much value in this. It's unbelievable. Christian, what do agents need to know about 7 Figure University?
7 Figure University can best be thought of as an agency blueprint in a box that's put together for you that brings you step by step in every facet of building a successful 7-figure insurance agency and lays it out all in front of you so you can follow along. Whether you guys need help with marketing, whether you guys need help with branding, whether you guys need help with hiring, training, standard operating procedures, systems and processes, automation, you name it, it's covered in this course. Not only that, you get access to my weekly training calls every Thursday that go from January through the end of September on a week-to-week basis. And you can attend those live and ask questions live. And then, of course, the recordings are put into the university afterward if you can't attend it and make the live training. So there's just so much value. It's the gift that keeps on giving, and it's a great investment into your business to kind of keep you up to date on what's going on, but also kind of point you in the right direction in various things that you're struggling with.
Some of the best training you'll be able to find, you guys, in one spot for one price. Go to sevenfigureuniversity.com and learn more.
Let's get back to the show.
Reduce your age at a cellular level. It was so high in antioxidants. It was the perfect mix. And the biggest joke of this is, God, I hope we get sued by them too. I hope they see it. They're like, you can't say that. The biggest joke of this is that the ingredients were all like basic off-the-shelf ingredients, right? It's like green tea extract, milk thistle. Like it was like 4 or 5. They put it together in this little supplement pill, and they're like, and then, you know, again, you do like the whole like testimony meeting, right? They get these people together, people stand up, they're talking about how like it changed their life when they started taking the pill, or, you know, the doctors can't say it was the pill, but my cancer went away. And, you know, you start to get all those stories. So it was, I'll never forget, it was almost $700 to sign up to be a distributor. I don't think I ever signed a single person up. I personally kept buying and taking the pills myself for a while. And I remember being haunted for a long time by that $700. I remember thinking like, man, I can't believe I spent $700 on this. What I kept thinking about all I could do with that money. Just destroyed me for a little while. But that was my entry point into the MLM world.
I've been in 3 in my life. All when I was much younger. So the first one, I've talked about it on the pod, but maybe I'll just recap.
Yeah, give us a recap. Yeah.
Okay, so first one I got into, I was 19 and I was studying for my insurance exam. And I had a friend at the job I was working at. I was working at an assisted living facility, and I was working in the kitchen and making $9.50 an hour, per the record. And I had a friend that got into this MLM. It was called VIMA. Stood for vitamins, essentials, minerals, mangosteen, and aloe vera. VIMA. So here's the thing about all these health and wellness MLMs.
Right.
I think you hit it right on the nose. They all use these basic freaking ingredients, mix them in a melting pot, overcharge them, and make it. And then they like hint at things like it will cure cancer without saying it and stuff. Like they're basically fraudulent in their claims.
I mean, we could spin one up in a week. Like we could spin 100%. One of these up. We could come back from Miami and be like, guys, look at these pills.
And it'd be the same thing. But they overcharge, like, so they're such jokes. They're all the same, by the way. Like, but they're all like, you know, we're better than them. Oh, you're leaving money on the table every day. Like they're all the same thing. Bullshit.
Yes.
But And the way the compensation is structured, right? Like on everyone I've ever seen up close, the way the compensation is structured, it's virtually almost impossible for you to do extremely well. It's virtually impossible. So anyway, this one, my friend got into it. They were selling healthy energy drinks, and they had juice too. That was their two products. And so the healthy energy drinks was called Verve. You can still buy it today. I bought some with a friend of mine during AEP 2 or 3 years ago as a joke, and we were drinking them during AEP, and it was hysterical. But they were like $200 for like a case of like 20. There's so much money.
I'm gonna buy a case for you. I'll get a case. Shit.
I will drink it if you buy it.
I feel amazing.
I got into that. I got sold on it. You know, I had an upline in San Diego, and he had a leased BMW. And the whole thing was like, and his whole thing his whole pitch when he would talk to people, he'd be like, right now, he's like, right now, what I don't have is I don't have a Ferrari, I don't have a mansion, but you know what I don't have? A job. And then like everyone on the team would go, whoa! Like it was that type of thing. And he's like, and like he talked like this, and immediately like he'd be like, right now I'm making $3,000 a month residually, and people would be like, whoa! And the thing was like, he had a BMW that was leased from the company, but if he dropped below his rank, then he's on the hook for it. It was like $700 a month. Yeah. And I think he did drop below it a couple times and started having to pay, and he's desperately trying to push above. And, like
classic.
And so
MLM right there.
But long story short, I quit studying for my insurance licensing exam to spend a year doing that. So
crazy.
I didn't get into the insurance. I spent a year doing that because I was like, insurance.
That's a job.
I was like,
I'm
gonna make real money. I'm like,
okay. What are the other ones?
I won't spend as much time on the other ones, but like, real quick on this one because it's so funny. I got into insurance, started building the business that is now, half of what we are today, right?
Right.
Within 2 years of me getting into insurance and leaving that, the government came in and shut them down for being a pyramid scheme.
See, this is what I wanted to bring up too, that I'm genuinely confused about. Okay, is multi-level marketing is like the compliant term, but pyramid scheme that's illegal. Why
would you like me to explain the difference?
Yeah, please do. Please,
I'm an expert.
Yes, please do. We need this.
It's a pyramid scheme if the compensation is structured in a way to where you legitimately, it's impossible for you to make money selling the product to customers, and the only way you can actually make money is
the distributor,
by signing up distributors and recruiting, and getting them on an auto ship every month and that kind of thing. Like, and so a lot of these, like, you can make like a couple pennies by having someone buy as a customer, but like, you'd have to get everyone in the world signed up to make six figures. Like 8 billion people would have to be your customer to make like $100,000 a year. Like, so that's where they draw the line. Like, but if it's an MLM where you can sell the product and you can actually make some actual money by selling the product and not recruiting, then it's a legit MLM in the eyes of the government. That's kind of where the differentiation lies.
Like, so that dollar one as an example, right? Like, you mail $5 out, you tell them, hey, here's my address, include my address when you said that it's all just signing people up. There is no product. That's a blatant pyramid scheme.
Right. Yeah. Like, and it can be a product and still be a pyramid scheme if the only way to make money is to recruit. That's the other thing too. But anyway, so anyway, I get out of that.
That's
Fast forward. So then after I get my insurance license, I have this gap before I start, like 3 months. And I got pulled into one called Wake Up Now. I still don't know what they did. It was so confusing. They sold coupons or something. Like, those like coupon books that you get in school for like fundraising.
It's a good MLM when you're not even sure what
I still don't know. So I got into that. I went to like 2 or 3 meetings, and then I never did anything with it after that.
Yeah.
Then I was like two years into insurance, and I joined one called Zango, which is basically what Vima ripped off. Right. The same thing.
Right.
Both of them, their whole thing was they had this fruit from Malaysia called mangosteen, and it was known as the king of fruits, the queen of fruits or something.
Right.
And it was supposed to like make you live forever. It was like, you basically become a vampire without drinking blood,
Yeah.
And
I got recently, literally within the last couple of years, I got solicited very hard on one that it was Alaskan blueberries, I believe, was the Same pitch though, right? Same pitch is like, these are special Alaskan blueberries, antioxidants that will change you, make you the best version of yourself. Just it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
We got to get into the insurance ones. We haven't even touched on it yet. Okay, so insurance MLMs. So granddaddy of insurance MLMs, A.L. Williams, known as Primerica today.
Yes.
Right. You have ones like
already one in the comments for Primerica. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Very good.
NAA is a pretty well recognized.
Symmetry Financial Group. Family First Life has been accused of being an MLM. MLM kind of like structure. People helping people. Patrick Bet-David's company that he sold to Integrity for hundreds of billions of dollars.
Some of these people
mostly life. Mostly life.
Yeah, it is mostly life. The NAA founder, I think he left and spun up another company. That's the thing with a lot of these big ones too, is like once they start to get a lot of heat or they start to lose money, like whatever ends up happening, a lot of times you'll see this happen. It's almost like a religion. The founder leaves, spins up the same thing with a brand new label on it. I used to know the names of all of these just because, again, I was in the life world. You're constantly seeing people say like, oh, I work for so-and-so. This is an amazing opportunity. But I will say, while the organization that I initially signed up for when I got my license, jumped headfirst into insurance, I happened to get lucky in the sense that while they offered the ability for me to recruit, they genuinely wanted me to be a successful producer for like at least a year was kind of their pitch. So I thought I kind of got lucky because I could have easily landed without really, knowing what I was getting into. I could have easily been a part of one of these MLMs.
And that's good advice. That is good advice. Like, so here's my thought on these insurance MLMs. Typically, from what I've seen on them all, there might be some exceptions, but for the vast majority of them, they give you really low commission levels, like way lower than you can get street levels just going independent with, a regular carrier, that kind of thing. Really low commission levels. They incentivize recruiting more than selling. Has been my experience. They a lot of times incentivize building a team and recruiting, and they tell everyone they should recruit. Like Primerica, that will tell you to recruit before you even have your license. It's wild. Like I'll never forget. I know we don't have much time. I will be super quick with the story. I had a friend that was in Vima with me. He was like, he was a cool guy, but he got into Primerica a couple years after I got into insurance, and so he invites us to take a look at it. He didn't even have his license yet, and his upline's there. His upline shows up. It's a girl, doesn't have her license either. And she's in sweatpants. So like this whole layer of people that don't have their license. Yeah. And then we get there and we're starting to talk to her and it becomes clear very, very quickly that we know a lot more about insurance than she does. A lot more. And this is the person that's supposed to sell us. And we're like, yeah, you're out of your league here. Like, this is not going to end well for you.
The blind leading the lame. This is terrifying.
But like, there's a lot of that. I feel like there are some good things they do and some bad things. I'll talk about the good first. Yeah. The good are, I think they do a good job of bringing new people into the industry. There's a lot of people I know that are very successful today in the space, but they got their start. They wouldn't have they found the industry because of an MLM. For sure. My father's one of those. My father started with A.L. Williams, Primerica Today. That's how he got introduced to the industry. So
I forgot about that.
With him not being brought in that way, he might have never found the industry, and maybe I probably wouldn't have either.
Christian wouldn't have been born.
We wouldn't be sitting here right now. We wouldn't be talking. I would have been. I hope I would have been born. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe they couldn't have afforded me. So I think that's the positive. I think the negative is a lot of times they'll portray a message that you should just be recruiting more than you should be selling. And that's a very crappy message, I think, for new agents. I'm a big believer that I think you should be making six figures or multiple six figures off your own pen before you ever try to recruit a single person. That is my stance. I think you aren't qualified
Totally agree.
to recruit and train someone until you've had some kind of credentials like that. And the MLMs teach the opposite, which is why they're like, if the industry fail rate is 92% or 91% or whatever it is, their fail rate at the MLMs is like 99%. And that's probably why.
And to get into, for those who like, almost as like a PSA, like a public service announcement for like those who might be in, you might be in an MLM right now, or maybe you're going to get solicited, because most likely you will, right? We almost all at this point have been solicited by multiple MLMs in the insurance space specifically. I want to kind of talk about what it looks like, because I've worked with so many agents and I've seen it like pretty much firsthand. So on the life insurance side, especially, this is common, where they say, hey, I want to get you set up. Take me to your family's house. Take me to your mom's house. Take me to your dad's house. I'm going to write policies on them. You can see how it works. And then, then you can kind of get going. And then once they get to your family or your friend's house, what they're really doing, they might write policies, they might not, but what they're really doing is just trying to recruit them. Mm-hmm. It is kind of a bait and switch at that point, where it's like, hey, oh yeah, look at me, I'm crushing it. You guys should be insurance agents too. I'll sign, let's get you can get licensed. It's super easy. And then they'll try it again. They try to kind of rinse and repeat that model. So now your friend signs up or your family member signs up and they say, hey, who do you know? Let's go to their house. We can get them a policy. And then they don't even really care if they write that policy or not. They're really just there to recruit. And that's how it's just this ongoing thing. I mean, so you have these people that aren't licensed or have never written a policy, but they don't care because they're just trying to sign up people to recruit. That's the model.
Yeah. And I think like MLMs, what they do a good job with is they create an atmosphere that is very cult-like. The hype is at a 10 out of 10. It's over the top. It's ridiculous. And they are very attractive to someone that doesn't know any better, because it seems exciting and it kind of pulls people into the industry in that way. But again, right, like for the most part, you have, from everything I've seen, you have very low contract levels and just misguided backwards ass training.
Yes.
To where like you're just trying to recruit. And it's like, if you get two people, then you get two people, and those people get two people. Like, but if you look at a lot of these structures, like one of the late night hosts did a breakdown of this one time. I think it was like on Herbalife, but it's the same for insurance. MLMs. Yeah. Did you see this? Like, he's basically like, to reach this level, 6 billion people would have to become a distributor.
Right. You'd have to sign up the world. Yeah.
Like, and that is really true. And you do the math on it and you kind of do the breakdown, and it's like, and it's, so I think it's
like you're either the first 10 people to sign up, or you have to turn around and go sign up the entire planet.
Right.
It's like, that's like the math. Yeah. That's the math of how you can actually make as much money as they say you can in an MLM structure. Yeah.
But it's a lot of hype, right? Like they lean so heavily into like personal development and that kind of thing.
Sure.
I feel like for me as a young man, being in an MLM, I think at the time in my life was probably a good thing for me, because what it did was I feel like what MLMs do is I think they're good teaching points for like younger people. Like I think I probably learned more that helped me today being in the MLM than I would have going to college. I do believe that. You get around people that are motivated, they're hungry, like everyone's coming together for a unique goal. I think that's kind of interesting. They introduced me to reading books and like, developing my mind and things like that. And they introduced me to books to like Think and Grow Rich and As a Man Thinketh and Rich Dad Poor Dad, and like some just real classic books. How to Win Friends and Influence People, so I think it was a positive thing for me at that point in my life. But like, I think taking it for what it is, you're not going to make any money. And should you get into the insurance business that way? No, absolutely not.
So I want to throw something out here kind of as we're wrapping up. Do you know who Ryan Stewman is?
No, don't.
Hardcore Closers, like his main brand. He's got a huge sales Facebook group. He has his own crazy story of how he's become successful. But one time I saw this piece of content from him that I thought was interesting is he was like trying to give everybody homework in the group. And he's like, go talk to 3 people, tell them what you're selling, do 3 posts on social media. And then one of his things, he's trying to like give people like a checklist of like how to get a sale today. Like if you don't know what you're doing, you go talk to 3 strangers, make 3 posts on social media. And then one of the ones at the bottom was go sign up for an MLM. And his pitch was to use it as a networking opportunity, not go sign up for an MLM to get rich, almost like a BNI group. And I'm like, man, that's an interesting spin on this. Here's kind of my bottom line. I'll go into my final thoughts from here. It's like my final thoughts on MLMs. If it's an insurance MLM or an MLM for some other product, like if you really want to do it, just make sure you understand what you're signing up for.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Don't go into it buying the hype. Don't go into it thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to be making $50,000 a month in 6 months, just like they are, which who knows if that's even true, whatever.
Right.
Yeah. Pitched, right. Like
the big thing was like every MLM I was ever in, they would basically teach you to exaggerate how well you're doing. Like when I was in Vima, I moved into an apartment before I got into insurance, I was like 20 at the time. I moved into an apartment with a couple of people that I recruited onto my team. And we were holding events there, like recruiting events, like multiple times a week. And like we'd play like a hype video on YouTube. It was like, dubstep. And like, and then I would stand up in front of the room and I'd talk about how well I'm doing without giving any specifics, and then everybody leaves and I'm eating ramen noodles for dinner because I don't have anything else to eat.
Do you know how much money I would pay to have a video of this? I would give
of it. I have a picture of it.
Oh my gosh. Maybe get that posted. Maybe get that posted in the group today. I mean, let
me see if I can find it.
That is just gold. But yeah, that's the definition of an MLM right there. But yeah, essentially those were my final thoughts, you guys. Like, just be self-aware, understand what it is. Like I look at MLMs and like I said, I have friends, family members, people I've worked with over the years. Like I get pitched, seems like once a year I'm getting pitched on some type of MLM. And a lot of times I'll hear them out. I'll be like, this is interesting. Like, tell me about your product. Tell me about your company. Like, I'm curious. Like, how does this work? But just know what you're signing up for. And in the insurance space specifically, know how the opportunity works and understand what street level contracts are. That's a big one, right? That was something on the life side that really opened up my eyes. That kind of got me out of the organization I was at. Once I realized that I was getting paid below street level, that's when I was really like, wait a second, like what's going on here? And again, I wasn't even really at like a true MLM. It was structured in a similar way, but they were a bit more sales focused and the contracts weren't nearly as bad as what some of these other organizations offer. So understanding what a street level contract looks like and finding a reputable upline who can help you no matter what direction you want to go. Again, at Everything Senior Insurance, Christian and I help agents build agencies. We also help independent producers build their own book. We're happy to help people grow in whatever direction they want to grow. So those are ultimately my final thoughts. Do not forget to comment on today's episode. We're giving away summit tickets this week. Free summit tickets. That is a $500 value. We do have a 30% discount. If you don't win Freebie Friday, you can go to sevenfigureMedicareAgentSummit.com and grab your own ticket. But if you want your chance to win a free summit ticket, make sure to comment on either today's live stream or one of our live streams from the previous week. So this is stream number 4 of the week. So you can enter you get up to 4 entries into the giveaway, which happens tomorrow, Freebie Friday. So do not forget to comment below here in the live stream on the 7-Figure Medicare Agent Facebook group. Christian, final thoughts. Did you find the photo? Is that what that smirk is?
I'm not finding the one that I'm looking for, but this is me and Ken Howe drinking Verve, studying for our insurance licensing exam in my apartment.
There you go.
There you go. That's the famous
That's iconic.
Verve. Yeah.
We might have to get that blown up into a portrait and hung up in the office.
Oh, here's me in my upline. Him going at the airport.
Your Verve upline?
Yeah. The guy making $3,000 a month. Residual.
Oh, that's the guy. You want to know that? I don't have a job. I love that line.
Is a job. They had all these like zingers. They had all these zingers.
I love that line. That's so funny.
It's gonna drive me nuts. I'm gonna find the one. There's one of me presenting in front of a room full of people. And
I need
I
to
have
see
like
it.
really long hair. Like look, yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'll try to find it. I know I have it somewhere.
Oh, final thoughts, Christian.
Final thoughts, guys, is I don't know. I don't really love that advice about joining an MLM to network. I feel like there's a lot of better places.
Better ways.
MLM people
Like
are
the
not going to
summit.
help you unless you join their MLM. They're not. They're like
Right.
obsessed. They're like obsessed with like what their MLM and everything like that. But I think I personally would not recommend joining one in the insurance space. That shouldn't be like your introduction to insurance. But for a lot of you, if it is, it's not going to be almost like your destination. But if it is what ends up needing to be your introduction to the industry, I don't think it's such a bad thing. But just, again, understand what it is. Your chances of making money is slim, extremely slim. The odds are stacked against you in more ways than any other thing you can possibly do, I feel like. And yeah, I mean, that's my final thoughts on insurance MLMs. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that get introduced to the industry, then they break off and they go find real opportunities. So I think they serve their purpose in that regard.
I love it. Guys, don't forget, we are off next week. Our first week off air.
Consider it spring break for us.
Spring break, yes. Yes, we're getting out.
So we will see you guys on the next episodes of the 7 Figures or Bust podcast. Appreciate all your support. Appreciate you watching all the way to the end. And not this next Monday, the 7th, but the 14th, I believe. We will be back front and center with Monday through Thursday episodes once again. So we'll see you guys in the next one. Wishing you guys all the success and the abundance possible for you. And thanks, guys.
Happy selling.